serve only one master. His name is Shai-Hulud.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're planting our thumpers and watching for wormsign as we plumb the mysteries of the mighty Shai-Hulud. We'll be discussing some things revealed in the second half of Dune, so this is your spoiler alert. Giants of the Desert Sea. Colossal beasts that traverse the desert. Dune's sandworms are iconic and have influenced creature designs in franchises as diverse as Tremors and Star Wars. Dune author Frank Herbert took inspiration from European dragons, such as the treasure-hoarding fire drake in Beowulf. Like dragons, Herbert's worms are armored in scales and fiercely territorial, in effect guarding the planet Arrakis' treasured resource, the Spice Melange.
Worm always comes?
Always. They're drawn by rhythmic noises.
Prodigious forces of nature, they resemble giant versions of our own earthly worms, with toothed mouths that recall lampreys. The largest can exceed 400 meters or 1,300 feet.
The largest and most dangerous organism on Arrakis is the sandworm, capable of reaching 400 meters in length.
In fact, the worm that Paul summons when he becomes a sand rider is over a half a league long. That's more than 1.5 miles. Their bodies are arranged into ring segments, which may contract and relax to facilitate movement through the sand, similar to earthworms. While they're drawn to vibrations and will attack anything on the desert floor, man or machine, they feed primarily on sand plankton and smaller worms.
We're about to enter worm territory. We can't walk like regular humans. If we do, we're dead.
Incredibly tough, they can live for thousands of years. Their main weakness is water, which is poisonous to their systems. Sandworms have a central place in the ecology of Arrakis. In fact, much of the sand on the planet is due to sandworm action. So is the oxygen, a byproduct of their digestive factories. The worms are also at the center of Fremen culture, and beyond Arrakis, of galactic civilization, in a way that very few suspect. Shai-Hulud.
Bless the Maker and his water. Bless the coming and going of him. May his passage cleanse the world and keep the world for his people.
Dune is a desolate planet, but home to a thriving indigenous population, and of course, the all-important spice. Sandworms are at the heart of both.
Shai-Hulud.
The planet's native people, the Fremen, revere the worms as manifestations of the divine. Descended from the Zensuni wanderers, whose religion was rooted in Islamic and Buddhist traditions, the Fremen have adapted to the planet's unforgiving environment and its flora and fauna.
Preferring to inhabit the remotest regions of Arrakis, the Fremen share the deep desert with the giant sandworms, known to the Fremen as Shai-Hulud.
For them, the worms are makers or Shai-Hulud, which can be translated as Old Man of the Desert, Grandfather of the Desert, or Old Father Eternity. Fremen culture has become inextricably linked to the worms. To avoid the worms' attention, they've developed a way of walking without rhythm on the sand. From the teeth of dead worms, they craft crysknives, sacred blades that, according to tradition, must taste blood once drawn before returning to their sheath.
This crysknife was given to me by my great aunt. It's made from a tooth of Shai-Hulud, the great sandworm. This will be a great honor for you to die holding it.
Worms also provide a means of transportation across the endless desert.
Shai-Hulud decides today if you become Fremen, or if you die.
Using a thumper, Fremen lure in a worm and employ maker hooks to pry open a ring segment. Sand enters the soft tissue between segments, irritating the worm, which rolls over to bring the exposed tissue higher above the sand, lifting the sand rider with it. Additional hooks allow for steering. perhaps most importantly, primitive stunted worms are drowned, releasing a liquid exhalation that the Fremen call the water of life. Fremen priestesses, or Sayadina, who ingest it, experience what's called the spice agony, unlocking the genetic memory of female ancestors.
Here is the water of life, the water that will free your soul.
As with the Bene Gesserit, women who undergo this ritual become reverend mothers. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. The spice.
Spice. It's in everything here.
It's the complex life cycle of the sandworms, however, that opens the door to their deepest mysteries and holds the key to the spice.
I see it. I can see it.
The sandworms are strongly associated with the Spice Melange, which only exists on Arrakis. Their protection of the spice is really just territorial, but Paul also notices that worms and the spice both smell like cinnamon.
The spice. Do you smell it? Yes!
A miracle drug, the spice prolongs life and unlocks greater awareness. For some, such as the Bene Gesserit and the mutated guild navigators, it also bestows prescience. This prescience allows guild navigators to navigate interstellar space.
The spice extends life. The spice expands consciousness. The spice is vital to space travel.
It's no wonder spice is the most coveted resource in the galaxy. So what are sandworms? And the worm, the spice.
Is there a relationship?
When you think Dune, you think sandworms. So it might surprise you to learn that sandworms are an introduced species from back when Dune was a wet planet.
Gods, what a monster!
But it's their life cycle that's truly astounding. It begins with microscopic sand plankton, which feed upon the spice, and upon which sandworms themselves feed. Sand plankton burrow down and become sand trout, known to the Fremen as little makers. Flat, diamond-shaped leathery creatures that are half plant, half animal. Attracted to water, sand trout band together, blocking off the planet's water into pockets, which is what caused the desertification of Arrakis. Sand trout excretions combine with water to produce a pre-spice mass, a stage of, quote, fungusoid wild growth. This results in a spice blow, with the mass exploding onto the surface. Exposed to sun and air, the mass becomes, drumroll, the spice.
Spice blow.
Trading places with the sands above. The sun and heat will dry it out, and soon,
Spice.
treasure of the universe.
The sand trout who survived the blow enter hibernation, emerging 6 years later as small, 10-foot-long sandworms. As planetary ecologist Liet Kynes observes, the relationship is circular. Little maker to pre-spice mass, little maker to Shai-Hulud, Shai-Hulud to scatter the spice upon which fed microscopic creatures called sand plankton. The sand plankton, food for Shai-Hulud, growing, burrowing, becoming little makers. As for how the sand plankton propagate, it isn't specified, but plankton on Earth reproduce through various means, depending on the type of plankton. For example, cell division or sexual reproduction. The spice is thus a product of the sandworm life cycle. This is the secret that few understand, and the link between the sandworm and the spice. We'll let Paul sum it all up.
Worm is the spice. The spice is the worm.
Have you ever tried to walk without rhythm so you don't attract the worm?
Remember, walk without rhythm and we won't attract the worm.
Be honest, it's harder than you'd think, right? Tell us in the comments. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.